Hi everyone, Quillfan here again. I promised to do a video of my deck collection, so this is what you'll get today. I decided to do only my tarot decks today. I might do my Oracle and Lenormand decks another day, but otherwise this video would be amazingly long. And I guess it will be long anyway, but there's no way I could include the other decks as well. The decks I'm going to show you are in no particular order. I simply tried to separate the Rider-Waite-Smith based decks from the Thoth and the Marseille style decks. Although honestly there wouldn't have been a need for that because I think almost all my decks are Rider-Waite-Smith based. So whoopsie, guilty of being a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Although I kind of warm up to the other decks as well. I just realized how weird the lighting is from the sun that's shining in from the side. But okay, I can't do anything about the sun. And I don't want to do anything about the sun because it's gorgeous. So, can you see that? I trimmed my Thoth deck yesterday. It came in yesterday and I decided to trim it and it was a pain in the ass, but I will talk about that later. And I got a blister. I've never gotten a blister by trimming a deck. I mean, this says something, right? Holy cow. Okay, but now let's start because this will be long anyway. So, I mean, what else to start with than the Rider-Waite-Smith? I never wanted a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I said that I never wanted one, and I said that I won't get one. Well, I lied. I got the Rider-Waite-Smith Centennial edition, and I actually really love this one. I trimmed it down, and as you can see, the edges are still, or the corners are still pretty pointy. This is because I am waiting for my corner rounder to arrive. I ordered one on Amazon, I think 1 or maybe 1.5 weeks ago, but it's being shipped from Japan, so it will take a while. And I think it might probably be here next week or maybe the week after that. I hope for next week. And because it has 3 sizes of corners, and I want the smallest one for this deck, I really have to wait for it because the one that I have here already has pretty large corners, and I really don't want that. I want the tiniest bit of round corners for this deck. So this is the Rider-Waite-Smith Centennial edition, and I really love that. Actually, I really like it. I haven't worked with it yet because, as you can see, it's still in the process of kind of getting personalized with it being trimmed, and I probably do the edges, I think. But other than that, I actually really like it. The next deck is, I think, my closest Rider-Waite-Smith clone, and this would be the Tarot Mucha. I love this deck. I gilded the edges, so it has beautiful golden edges, and it's just stunning art. I really, really love this deck. I especially love this deck for larger spreads because it reads beautifully in larger spreads. You really see, why are there cards upside down, as I don't read reversals, like physical reversals? Weird. Okay, it is very easy to see the theme of a spread within these cards. So you really can do a bigger spread easily with these cards, and you really see, like, at first glance, what is this spread about? You can read it like sentences. It's a very easy read. I really love this one. And I mean, I love, okay, this one not so much. But other than that, I really love the images and it's just gorgeous. Beautiful deck. Love it. So this is the Tarot Mucha. The next one would be, well, maybe this is my actual closest Rider-Waite-Smith clone. Although it's not just Rider-Waite-Smith. It's what does the creator say? It's by a 7-star and it's a bastardized deck. So it takes from quite a lot of different styled decks. But the minors are purely Rider-Waite-Smith in this deck. It takes from the Italia Aces and stuff like that. But as you can see here, the minors are Rider-Waite-Smith, like pure Rider-Waite-Smith. and they're aged, which is gorgeous. I mean, I really love the look of this deck. And this deck is a deck for my inner child. I mean, although it's no childish deck in any way, but this deck, just simply my inner child is jumping up and down with this deck and clapping its hands and just, I don't know, squeaking of joy. I just love this deck. This here is another Rider-Waite-Smith clone, or what I would consider a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, although it does bring a bit more to the table because it is based on Welsh culture or Welsh mysticism, whatever. So there are Welsh tales incorporated into this deck. It is the Llewellyn deck, and I trimmed it to picture only. As you can see, it is actually my second deck. The first deck I don't own anymore. I gave it away to Christmas last year to a friend who simply fell in love with it. And I did not use it, so I thought it would be better to just simply give it away and gift it to Christmas. But this one here, the Llewellyn deck, really taught me to read the cards intuitively and to connect with the cards. So I love the imagery. I love that it's watercolor based. I think the art is by Anna Marie Ferguson, if I'm not mistaken. At least this is the name that popped up in my head right now. And I mean, look at it. It's so beautiful. And I love it without the borders. And it has a very nice size now. So I love this. This is one of my favorite towers ever. This is a great size to take with you. So I actually really love this deck. And I don't know if I will come across this card now, skimming through it, but especially the Judgment card. This deck is responsible for me being able to connect to the Judgment card because I really fully understood it through this deck first. So, love it. Oh, here it is. Gorgeous. I just love it. So, this is the Llewellyn deck. Again, fully trimmed to picture only. It comes with quite large borders. So actually these cards, if you buy them new, they are pretty standard tarot size. So, and now they are like pocket size almost, a bit wider than pocket size. So it really trims off a lot if you get rid of the borders. Okay, yeah. The next one, again, quite traditional to the Rider-Waite-Smith, is the Tarot of the Old Path. I really like this deck. I love the Strength card in it. I love the Hermit in it, the Wise One. I love the Chariot card in it. So there are a lot of cards in this deck that I really love. And if you want to really get to know this deck, I would advise you, or I would say that it would be best to buy the book as well, because there are so many more layers in the symbolism of these cards, because every flower in this deck means something, every animal in this deck means something. And if you're not as acknowledged in herbology, which I am not, then it's probably best to have the book as well. I have to say that I haven't really worked with this deck much, simply because I don't know if you have this as well, but sometimes if you bought a deck but then another deck calls out to you, or maybe already ordered this deck beforehand and then it comes straight after you bought another deck. So, and there's nothing else than like you're focused totally on this one deck that called out to you. So this is what happened to this one, because another deck came pretty much the same time than this one, or as this one did, and so it kind of fell from my my focus or something like that. I don't know how to describe it better, but I somehow simply did not find the time or the will to really work with this deck. But I love the imagery. I love the extra layer of herbology. Simply haven't worked with it that much. I mean, a bit. I did a couple of readings, but nothing too fancy. The next one actually is one of my, this is my deck, one of my decks. I am not saying that this is the only deck that I would take with me if I could only have one deck, because this would make me cry, but this is a deck that I would not leave behind if I went anywhere. So this is the Fountain Tarot. There's nothing I don't love about this deck. I love the silver edging. I love the imagery. I mean, these pictures are just stunningly beautiful. They are so clear. I love the energy of this deck because it is quite neutral. And I already tried to describe it in my 5 decks that I would take with me if I went on a 1-year vacation video. This deck, it has a way to take the edge out of like overly emotionalized situations, to kind of give you the opportunity to take a more clear look at things. So I really love that. It's kind of, it mutes things a bit, not in a bad way. It doesn't gloss over things. That's not what I mean, but it mutes down just a notch to enable you to look at things more reasonable and more logical, maybe. So I really like that. It's very clear and very logic and not too. I mean, it's an intuitive read as well, and it really hits hard. So it's not like only on the surface or only in the head, but still, it's, I don't know. There's something about this deck that makes it so beautiful to read in almost every situation. So it's quite versatile. Really love this one. Another pretty Rider-Waite-Smith based deck, and the first one that I have here now that I'm actually thinking of purging. Not 100% sure yet, but this is the Steampunk Tarot by Barbara Moore and Alan Fell. I love the images. Don't get me wrong on that. I really love them, and every time I look at them, I fall in love again. I simply don't use this deck. I really don't know why, but I simply don't. And I'm rarely ever drawn to this deck, to use this deck, which is a pity because, or a shame because, I mean, look at these images. They are gorgeous. And every time I have read with it, it was quite clear. So there's nothing wrong with this deck whatsoever. I simply don't tend to use it that much. Maybe I should force myself to use it a bit more. I don't know. I love this deck. I love this deck. I really don't know why I don't use this. Actually, I forgot to edge the edges black, which I intended to do. Whoopsie. Okay, but now that I'm thinking of purging it, I probably should wait to edge the edges. Edge the edges. Another one that's pretty much based on Rider-Waite-Smith would be my Shadowscape, my beloved Shadowscape. I love this deck. Just to say that, I love this deck. I gilded the edges in a silver, which I love. And this deck, I like to describe this deck as a fresh summer breeze. So it's refreshing. It is. It ruffles through your hairs. It's quite creative. I just love the art. I could live in those pictures. I love the art. And I know that the moment Stephanie Pui-Mun, who is the artist of this deck, comes out with an Oracle deck, and I know she's working on one, the moment she comes out with this deck, I will buy it, simply because I am in love with this art. It's so beautiful, and it's so clear. There's nothing I don't like about this deck. I trimmed it, as you can see. It comes with very thin, unobtrusive, silvery borders and the title at the bottom. I felt those cards needed to be freed, or freed, whatever. They needed to be seen without the borders, and I really love even the way they work together in spreads now. I just love this deck. Beautiful. The next one is one I haven't worked with that much, but I actually really like the concept. So this is the Sacred Site Tarot, and it is pretty much Rider-Waite-Smith based. So it always has some kind of a notch or a nod to the Rider-Waite-Smith in the pictures itself, but there's another layer in the pictures because sacred sites are added, and I really love the artwork. I actually thought about trimming it, but for some reason I really like the light blue borders here. There are a lot of pictures that I really loved in this deck. This one, for example, like the tower, so beautiful. You have this erupting volcano in the back. stunning, stunning. There are a few cards, like maybe a handful, that I'm not that fond of, but other than that, I just love this deck. Haven't worked with it that much, again, because it came in a period of time when I had quite a lot of new decks coming in, and it just kind of fell over to the side. But I intend on working with this one more, simply because I love it. Like, I love the concept, and I love the art. This one is one that my heart is pretty fond of. I love this one. I don't work with it that much, though. So if I hadn't been that much in love with this deck, I probably would purchase as well, but I cannot imagine myself giving this one away yet. This is the Line Strider Tarot. I love the imagery. It's by Ciolo Thompson. It's just beautiful. I love the artwork in it. I love that there is so much white space surrounding it, and I love that there is so much symbolism hidden in each and every picture. Gorgeous. Simply gorgeous. I really have no idea why I don't use it more often for readings. I really don't know. I bought this one when it was self-published, but I know that I think later this year, I think around May, or maybe it's out already. I don't know. I think May or June, somewhere in the summer. Don't count me on that. But this one will be mass produced. So you will be able to get this deck again. And it is gorgeous. It had gorgeous imagery. Still don't know why there is this card hidden within all the others, because it's so different. This is the Eight of Cups, and it just simply sticks out. Not sure about this one still, but other than that, oh, look at this Queen of Cups. This is so beautiful, and it's such an easy read. I love the Strength card. So really, just gorgeous. I should get it out a lot more. I don't know why I don't, actually. The next one is one of my actual favorites. And I will talk very briefly about this deck because I know it is out of print and I don't want for you to be all mad and sad. This is the Tarot of Delphi. I need to do the edges with this one. I still haven't done that. Shame on me. So I love this deck. I love everything about this deck. I love the cardstock. I love the pictures. I love what pictures the creator of this deck chose for the cards. It's just stunning. I totally underestimated that deck when I got it. I thought it would be like more of a romance novel read, so with it on the surface and more for relationship and things like that. Totally underestimated it because it actually has a quite fiery energy to me. And it does read beautifully with everything that has to do with passion. So things you're passionate about, like your heart's desire, like, of course, maybe a relationship, but also like creativity, your dreams, your goals in life, things simply that you strive for. This one is the perfect deck for that. It has a very 1D energy to me, at least. Love it. Gorgeous. So, Tarot of Delphi. Next one. Oh, one of my workhorses, if I can say so, because I don't work like for a living with tarot. But this is my very old and dear friend. This is the Druidcraft Tarot. I trimmed it down to picture only and I gilded the edges, or I painted the edges with, I think it was vintage photo ink. I don't know. I'm not quite sure, but it really matches the back perfectly. I just love this deck. Like I already said, this is, if I don't want to really work with a spread, if I simply want to have an answer straight away, I chose this deck. Because it is like talking to a friend, and not just any friend, but a friend that knows you perfectly. So sometimes the answers I get are, you already know this, you always do this, and you always end up doing that instead. You should be blah, 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 blah. So it is really like talking to someone who knows you for years. So really love this one. Really reads easily. I love the art of Will Worthington. Stunning. I love this deck. Okay, let me see where to put those. The next one. So now we are kind of going a bit further from the actual Rider-Waite-Smith, but there are still Rider-Waite-Smith themes in there, but they're striving a bit further. So here we have the Raven's Prophecy tarot. As you can see, I trimmed it and I blackened the edges. I think I might actually trim down the bottom as well right now, because I'm actually not fond of the orange bottom there. Love this deck. I love the clear imagery. I love the simplistic images, but still not like without details. There are a lot of details in these cards, but I like that it's quite zoomed in. So really love this one. And I still think that this is a deck. This is amazing to really understand the energies of the card cards. So just love it. Next one would be another deck that I think of maybe letting go. But it's on and off of my purge or trade list all the time, so I'm really not sure. Every time I see the images, I think, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Then again, it reminds me so much of Harry Potter, and it is quite soft, a bit like pictures in a children's book, which I'm not that fond of. On the other hand, the voice of this deck is quite nice. So it is like, if I read with this deck, I get answers like I would get answers, oh, I love this one, from a storyteller. So it kind of answers in tales more than it does in like clear, straightforward sentences, which in itself is a nice thing. So it is quite interesting to work with this deck. I'm not as witchy probably, so I'm not like as drawn to this deck. On the other hand, I mean, again, there are so many beautiful pictures in here. I'm not sure. This is one of my maybe trade list. Let's see. Another one on my maybe to trade list would be the Ludi Lascott. This is on and off my trading list all the time. I rarely ever use it. As you can see, I blackened the edges. I rarely use this deck, ever. But if I do, it does read beautifully, and it has a very unique voice. I'm not too fond of the general images, so I mean, after some time, you really get a bit bored with all these full-breasted women in too tight corsets and with smeared mascara and things like that. But on the other hand, the voice of this deck is a very raw one. So it is like the rawest instincts, the rawest emotions. There are no filters whatsoever. There is nothing on top of what is accepted in society or what isn't. It's just, this is, if I would speak of like the inner animal, the animus or anima, this is the voice of this deck. So, and this is a great thing to have. Again, I rarely ever use it. I'm not too sure if I want to keep it or not. I have to think about this a bit further, I think. Next one is a deck that I, again, think of getting rid of, and this is the highest on my list of getting rid of. This is the Osho Zen Tarot. As you can see, I gilded the edges in a copper tone, and it is actually a bit of shiny. You can't really see it. It is the Osho Zen Tarot. I simply have difficulties really connecting with this deck. There is imagery in this deck that I love to pieces, but then there is other images that I really cannot connect with at all. And I tried working with this during a challenge, an Instagram challenge that was about working with your chakras. It was by Tarot Readings from a Bit. It was a great challenge, and I really enjoyed this challenge, but I had a hard time using this deck for it. Still, there's nothing wrong with this deck whatsoever, but for some reason, I really don't feel that connected to it. So this probably will be one to give away. Although I do have the, what's it called? Oh, I forgot the name. It's one by John Holland, I think. Psychic Tarot for the Heart, from the Heart, something like that. I forgot it. An oracle deck that works beautifully in combination with the Osho Zen, but then again, also I think this will be one that I will get rid of at one point or the other. So now comes a deck that I really love. This is the Tarot Everywhere deck. It is by Kristen, and I forgot her Instagram name actually. OTM Oracle Cards, I think, something like that. I will put her name down in the description box because I actually forgot. I forgot it. And she does a lot of decks. She has a lot of decks out. She's very creative and works hard. And there are some stunning decks. And I have the Tarot Everywhere and the Oracle Everywhere, actually. I love this deck. It's just photographs, quite modern looking, and it really makes you look, or finds you, makes you find, my gosh, I cannot talk, makes you find situations relating to tarot in everyday life. I love this one. It's very easy to read because it is so modern and so connected to today's life. And I especially love working with it in combination with the Oracle Everywhere, which is surprisingly straightforward as well. Love it. I just love this deck. Beautiful. And she picked gorgeous photographs. The next one will be one that is quite different, but I love it. Oh, this is the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. As you can see, the art is, we really don't have like the typical Rider-Waite-Smith style here. It's totally different. It has beautiful Fae energy. It's stunning. And once you kind of get to know the Fae, they really have beautiful messages for you. And it is a very enabling deck. It is a powerful deck. Look at this strength card. Holy guacamole, how much I love this. I cannot even say how much I love this. It really... And I like how Kelly phrased it in her videos, because I totally agree with that, because it is a deck that really focuses on giving you your own power back, and it gets through to the core to really, give you your own strength, help you find your own strength. And I really love this. It's just a stunning deck. I love the artwork. Oh gosh, look at this card. I could look at this deck for hours and hours and never be bored. I just love it. So, Tarot of the Hidden Realm. The next one, let's see, is this one. Haha, and you won't ever know what it is. No, I will turn it around and I will talk about it, of course. So, this is the Antique Anatomy Tarot, and it's by Black and the Moon, and I just love it. I just love it. I don't know how or why, but this deck, from the very first moment that I got it, decided to be my deck for moon readings. So anything that's kind of about cycles, about letting go, releasing, or starting anew, manifesting, things like that. It just screams for the Antique Anatomy. I really don't know how this happened, but beautiful. A beautiful deck for kind of astrology-related, moon-related readings. Very clear reading deck. I just love it. I just love it. It's gorgeous. Next one is one of my newest editions. Editions? Whatever. I added this deck quite recently to my collection. Due to a trade that I did with lovely Nina. And this is the Mini Bohemian Gothic Tarot. I gilded the edges silver, and I did it with a Sharpie and or a silver edding, actually. And holy guacamole, I got quite scared in the process because it did not dry. It took ages to dry. Really, I had it out for maybe 5 days and it still smeared on my hand and smudged onto my hand. It did not smudge onto the cards, so I was pretty happy about that. But other than that, I was so afraid that I ruined this deck, but thank goodness it did dry at least, or at last. And now I really love the look of it. Because I used in editing, or a Sharpie, like it's quite similar, I have these small silvery borders, and I really love the look of it. I love this deck. It's just a gorgeous read. It's quite humorous. It has a really lovely sense of humor, but it's not a light read necessarily. It goes really deep, but it reads quite nurturing, so it's quite loving in its, maybe because of its humor. I don't know. I really love this one. Gorgeous. And my first actual tarot mini deck, so love it. Next one. This one of my big surprises, because I am actually not drawn to this art still. This is the Tarot of the She, and I ordered it because, I don't know, it got off and on my list all the time. So one day I simply gave in and ordered it, and I am blown away by this deck still. This is so evocative, and it gives you, oh, look at this Dancer 8. It's almost, I mean, this would be the 8 of Cups in other decks. This is just stunning. It's so beautiful. I simply love this one. And it almost gives you visions. It sucks you into the images and really, it's so powerful. I can't even, cannot find the right words for this deck because it's such a powerful gem. Gorgeous. I really, really love this deck. I still don't use it for large spreads. So the most cards I used it with are probably 3-card spreads, which isn't much. But I really still love it for simply 1-card pulls and concentrating on 1 card, and it's powerful. So a very powerful deck. Love it. The Tarot of the She. Another very powerful deck would be this one here. As you can see, I trimmed it down to square edges, and I blackened the edges with a Sharpie, so I have this nice, very small black border on it again, but like very small, you barely can see it. This is the Mary L. Tarot, and this is a hard hitter. I really love this deck. I trimmed it fully to the pictures, as you can see, because I thought I'd love to read it intuitively, which I do. I sometimes skim the book just to find if some sentences kind of stick out to me, but I rarely ever really read the meanings of the cards in the book. I'm not too fond of the book, I have to say that. Maybe because English isn't my first language, and I sometimes get lost in the book when she starts to talk about, I don't know how many different legends and tales and, I don't know, gods and goddesses from different cultures, and sometimes I'm just, what are you talking about? And what I don't like about the book is it sometimes gets a bit wishy-washy regarding the card meaning, and I really like to differentiate between card meanings a lot. So I mean, they're interconnected, but they still mean different things, and I don't like if it gets kind of blurred so much. And sometimes at least I found that to be in the book. So I'm not that fond of the book, but I love the artwork. I mean, look at this strength card again. I always say that about the strength card, right? So gorgeous, gorgeous cards, very deep reading. So really, this is a deck for, what was the phrase? To dive deep into the waters of the High Priestess, and it is for that. It's not a deck that I would take out to ask an everyday question, because it would give me instead the underlying psychological issues, which I would not want to hear at that point. So it really is a deck to dive deep and to work with, because it really goes deep into your psyche. I love this deck. Not a deck for every day, at least to me. And the last one I have for the more Rider-Waite-Smith-based decks is this one. This is the Tarot of Transformation. And if you're in search of a deck that is healing and nurturing, and if you're in a situation in which you simply feel like you need help because you're in an emotional turmoil, or I don't know, like in midst of a hurricane, and you feel like you need a helping hand, and you feel like you need a hug, and you feel like you cannot see like the light at the end of the tunnel, this is the right deck for you. It really is a stunning deck. It has stunning artwork, as you can see. It is soothing, it is helping, it is healing. Perfect. I don't use it that often simply because it is so it is for special occasions. It is for those moments that you are really needy, that you really need help and nurture. But for that, it's the perfect deck. And I would never give this one away. This is just stunning. And I mean, look at the colors. Look at this artwork. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous deck. The Tarot of Transformation. So I actually have two more Rider-Waite-Smith based decks, because I have two that aren't even unpacked. So I do have the Pagan Tarot here. I skimmed through the cards. I wasn't as impressed by them as I had hoped. But I don't feel like this is the right time for this deck at this very moment. So I simply keep it to the side, and its time will come, and then I will work with it a bit further, and I want to give it a real chance. So, and I feel like I cannot do this right now. So I haven't even unpacked it. And the other one is quite similar. This is the Wildwood Tarot, and I actually did not feel its call yet at all, but I simply ordered it because when I ordered the Mary L from Amazon.com, so the American Amazon, it simply was so cheap. Like in relation to the price on the German Amazon page, it was so friggin' cheap that I had to include it into my shopping basket. And I mean, I was to pay shipping price anyway for the Mary L Tarot, and it was quite reasonable. So I thought I had to include the Wildwood Tarot at that time. I did not even unwrap it, like here the cling film is still around it, but I don't know. I know that it will call out to me one day, probably sooner than I expect, and I will be happy to have it, and I will love it because it is Will Worthington, and I adore Will Worthington's artwork. And I am happy to have it. I simply don't feel the call to work with it right now, so I did not unpack it. Okay, so that's it for all my more Rider-Waite-Smith based decks. So let's move on to the Thoth based decks. And I actually do have a Thoth deck, which came in yesterday, and which I trimmed, and it was a pain in the ass to trim, because in this version that I got, which is a used deck, I got it used, and it's the US Game System version in the green box, and there are not two pictures in here with the same exact size. So it was really horrible to trim. Did not expect that, and I actually wanted to keep, like I planned on keeping the title at the bottom, but I simply, like, I was so in the process of trimming, so I trimmed 3 edges, put the card to the side, trimmed the next 3 edges, and when I came to the Hierophant, I simply snipped off the bottom part as well, and I was like, oh no, what did you do? But it was too late, so I had to do it for all the cards. So I plan, or I intend on writing those the symbols that are like the Kabbalistic symbol or Kabbalistic letter, or Hebraic letter, and the astrological or planetary association. I plan on writing it down again, and I plan on writing down the keywords for the miners as well in a gold pen. I don't have one yet, so I have to buy one, and I need to round the corners as well once my corner rounder comes in. So this is why it's still in the making. It's in the process of getting personalized. Another more Thoth themed deck is the Sun and Moon Tarot. As you can see, the Aeon. So this is gorgeous. This is such a laid back deck. This is so relaxing. Working with this deck is like relaxing as hell. Love this one. There's nothing more to say here. I did trim it. I kept the bottom title. I did not keep the keywords at the top. But again, stunning. I love this, and I actually really, really love the back. Maybe I will blacken the edges. I don't know. Maybe. I ran out of battery, but I quickly want to add my Marseille style decks. I actually do have a Marseille deck, or Terre de Marseille. This is the Piatnik version. It looks a bit, and this is what I like about it, it looks a bit rough. Like, it is a reproduction, and I think they used wood carvings for that. It is sometimes a bit hard to differentiate between the colors, like the green and the blue, but it is possible to do so. So it's very workable. It really can work with this deck. It is like pretty true to the actual images. I like this one, the Piatnik version. This wasn't my first choice. Like my first choice would have been the Dodal, but it's so hard to lay your hands upon this deck, and it is so expensive if you do. So it really wasn't an option. And there were actually like 2 other decks in this little shop that Kelly brought up with her Terre de Marseille in one of her videos. It's a little Italian shop. I think it was in Milan. I will link, put a link down in the description box below. And there were actually like 2 decks in there that I really fell in love with. But obviously, or of course, because of my luck, they're both out of print. It was like, what? There was one that had, that was a bit like watercolored. Oh, it was so gorgeous, but again, out of print. So this will do. And it's a gorgeous deck to especially start the Marseille journey upon and start learning the Marseille. So there's nothing wrong with that. This is the Terre de Marseille, the Piatnik Terre de Marseille. Another deck that is so fun. This is a deck that brings me so much joy, and I did not expect that. This is the Lost Code of Tarot deck, and this is, I simply love it. I love the art in this deck. It is fun. It is absolutely, I really enjoy this deck, and I love the background story they came up with. If you think of getting this deck, though, I should say that if you get it with a book, don't expect the book to be like any companion book you have with other decks, because there's rarely anything written there about the tarot itself, and almost nothing written there about divinatory meanings of tarot. So you have like 2 pages for all the majors, and they don't even talk about the minors at all. Like there is not a word about it, and they don't talk about numerology as well. So there is no information for you about like pip style minors in the book, and you really need to know that. If you don't mind it, or if you don't mind looking for your information elsewhere because you have a book about Terre de Marseille style decks, or because you want to search for it online, or because you are experienced in reading Terre de Marseille, then there's absolutely no problem. It reads beautifully, so joyous. I just love it. I just love it. There's nothing more to say about this. Gorgeous, gorgeous little deck. And last but not least, my pride. I love it. Can I just say that I love this one? It's huge. And this is my reproduction of the Visconti deck. And it really does look, this is like a real reproduction of this deck. So it really does look exactly like the art does look right now in the museums. So you have all the floors, you have all this like shabby chic. I just love this one. It is humongously big. So really not a deck to work with easily. I did do 3 card pulls with it already, and it works beautifully. It reads beautifully, but I actually bought it because I fell in love with these exact images, and I wanted to work with it a bit more in my sacred space, and it's brilliant for that. I think I will actually buy, at one point, sooner or later, I will buy another version of it that is smaller so I can really read it or work with it in a better way. And I actually would love to have one with a bit more bling to it. So really like shiny gold parts. I have to look that up though, because I did not go into research mode right now. So this is das Tarocspiel der Visconti is the name. So it's the Tarocchi dei Visconti. I just love it. I love it to pieces. So this is it. This is my tarot collection, and it's a lot bigger than I thought. Holy guacamole! It's let me quickly count them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21, 24, 26, 28, 30. Yes, it's 30 decks. So, a lot more than I expected. I did not know I had so many, and I'm a bit blown away by this. But if you want to see a walkthrough of any of those decks, if you want to see me do a reading with any of those decks, although I'm not that, I'm not that comfortable in doing readings on camera because I read for myself, so I'm not as used in phrasing the meaning of a reading. So, but probably would try anyway. So if you want me to do that, or if you want me to talk about a deck or my experiences with a deck further, please leave a comment in the comment box below, because you know that I love to talk to you all. And that's it. I hope you're all having a gorgeous, gorgeous day. See you later. Bye.